today is going to use the Birthday Jubilee. You can do this with any paper pack though, and embellishments that you have. And I am going to use the jumbo cutting circle from our custom cutting system. All right, it does take 6 sheets of paper. So I already have picked out the paper that I'm going to use. These are all from the Birthday Jubilee. All right, let's start cutting. The 2 navies are going to be my base, so just pick whatever base you want. I'm going to set those aside. And I'm going to go ahead and start cutting. I've put on here the sizes so you know what you need to cut. And this particular one, some of them you do want to pay attention to which way, if you have a pattern. This one of course doesn't matter. So I'm just going to go ahead and start cutting. The first one that I need is 1/2 by 11.5. So 1.5 by 11.5. So you can just go ahead and turn that over and cut off your 1/2 inch. All right, so 1/2 inch, not 1.5. So let's do that again. See, we all make mistakes, and I could start over and show you that I didn't make a mistake, but I did, and that's okay. So this one's going to be 1/2 inch by 11.5, and I'm just going to set this one aside. So there's my 1/2 inch by 11.5. Now I need 1 inch by 11.5, and see, there you go. The piece I messed up on is 1 inch. So there's my 1 inch by 11.5. Now I need 1/2 inch by 8.5, and then 1/2 inch by 2.5. So I'm just going to cut 1/2 inch strip, and you'll see what I'm going to do in just a minute. So there's my 1/2 inch, and now I can cut off 8.5 inches and 2.5. So here's my 2.5. And then I'm going to have one that's 8.5. So 8.5. And then I'm going to set this aside because I don't need that one either. All right, and then I need one that is 1 inch by 7.5. And I am keeping my paper the same way. It's plaid, so it really doesn't matter. However, depending on the paper that you've chosen, it could make a difference. So you want to make sure if it's patterned that you're keeping it all the same way. I was going to do it with the birthday candles or the birthday cake, but I figured once you got into these little 1/2 inch strips, you wouldn't know what they were. So I decided not to use those. All right, so now 1 inch by 7.5. All right, and then the rest of this I can use for something else. So now I'm just gonna put that on here and set that aside, and set that paper aside. Now my second sheet, I need one that's 4.5 by 11.5. So I am going to cut the 4.5. And again, this piece doesn't really matter because of the pattern. I do tend to pick papers that are like that. And then I need 11.5. So I'm only cutting 1/2 inch off. I'll make sure I line that up right. Then I need one that's 11 by 2.5. So I'm gonna do the 2.5. by 11. So again, I'm just cutting the 1 inch off. Yes, you could cut the 1 inch off first if you wanted to. When I'm doing recipes like this, I like to be a little more precise. And then 4.5 by 8.5. So you can see, obviously I don't have 8.5. So I'm going to go to 4.5 here. And 8.5. and set that aside. That is page 2. It's just cutting page 2. I'm going to use all pieces everywhere. We're actually making a double page spread today. And I have my grandson's birthday party this weekend, so I'll have my pages for it. All right, page 3, we're just using a little bit of this one. This one here is, I do have to pay attention to the way the stripes are going. It's going to be going across the page. So I do need to turn this and make sure that my 11.5 is going to go across my page. So I need this one to be 2.5. And again, sometimes depending on what you're using, you do have to pay attention to that. 2.5 by 11.5. And the same thing with the next piece, because it's going to match this on the other side. So now I need this to be 2.5 by 8.5. I think I showed you last time when I used some of this Jubilee paper. I saved these and made cards out of them, and they were really cute. All right, so that's all I need on page 3. I'm gonna set this stuff aside, clean up my work area just for a second. It's not in the way. All right, page number 4 is super easy. So my 4 and 5 are matching because this is going to be part of the background. I'm using the navy, but this is going to take up a lot of it. So 11 by 11.5. So I am going to cut off my inch, and now I need 11.5. So I'm not cutting much off of that one at all. All right, so 11 by 11.5. And now this one is a little bit trickier. So what we're going to do on this one, if you haven't used the custom cutting system yet, I am going to go ahead and line this up. You can kind of see on here how it's going to go on the page. My drawing is not to scale, however. So what I want my jumbo circle to do is it's going to come like this, and then I'm going to cut it straight around. So I want my circular part to be 5 inches in. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So I'm going to line up where this touches that at my 7, because I want it to be 5 inches in. And then I'm going to cut this, it'll be 5 inches, and I'm going to keep this straight. So I'm not cutting this the whole page. So I'll show you what I mean in a minute. So I'm using the green blade, so I'm going to come out just a little bit. And now I'm going to cut this, but again, I have to pay attention. The 7 and the 5 are the same. So let me show you that. So when you're lining up paper, it's a 7 here and a 5 here. So I only want to cut from the 7 to the 5. So whatever you need to do to mark that off for you. So I'm going to come around and I'm going to stop at that 5 or close to it. Oh, I didn't push hard enough right there. That's right. That's why you pull out your scissors and cut that extra piece with a pair of scissors. I was talking and not paying attention. You could reline it up, but it's really hard if you've tried to reline up the... All right, so now what I want to do on this side is I want this to go straight across. So I am going to put this back here. I am done with the jumbo circle now. And I'm going to look at where this came. And I want to line that up. If you're not sure, put it in your trimmer. Use your arrows. Like that looks pretty close to it. And if you go over a little bit, that's okay, because the piece you want is this one. All right, so that's all you're cutting on that page. You could have used the red, the green, or the blue blade for this. It really didn't matter. All right, now the last page, these are going to be mats. So if you don't like having a designer page for your mats, I like something simple because I don't want it to take away from my photos. But we're going to cut 3 3x3s. So in this case, I'm just going to cut to the 3 and cut my 3 out of it. So I want 3x3. So there's 1 3x3, 2 3x3s, and 4. And you might want to save this one because this is another 3x3 in case you want to put another photo somewhere. And then again, it's going to be a photo mat. If you're paying attention to your shapes, this is going to be for a vertical picture. So I want to pay attention to these if you want your double pages to match. So this one's going to be 5.5 going across. And then if you want to save this here, go to your 7.5 here, line up your white line, push and go forward. And you see I didn't have to go all the way down. And then you can do the same thing on this side. So it's 7.5. So I can go to the 5.5 mark, push down and go up. And now I have longer sheets of paper that I can use on something else. So it's a great way to save paper. But now my mats are all, the lines are going the correct way. Okay, that's everything you need to cut. Excuse me, I will put all those back out so you can see them. So you can see all the pages and the cuts. All right, now we're going to line up our double page spread. I'm going to ditch the mat because we don't need it. And now we just start building. So now we're just going to make sure we can see everything. All right, remember this page that we didn't do the whole side on? So that is actually going to go in the middle. And then we have the page that we cut. So that is going to line up with those. All right, I am going to trim a little bit more because I used the other blade. I need to trim just a little bit more off of that to make it the same. So if you need to line them up to make sure they're correct, line that up, use this side, and you're going to take off just that little bit. Had I used the red blade, it would have been okay. And you can shave just a little off. Okay, perfect. Yep, we all make mistakes and that's okay. All right, then, as long as these line up, I'm gonna go ahead and put this down. So these are gonna be the pieces that I build on. All right, so I'm gonna put this one down. I'm not gonna put the other one down and I'll show you why. All right, so this one you wanna put all the way to the right-hand side, which leaves you a little bit on the perimeter, which I like. This one we're gonna hold off on putting down because we're going to be cutting the papers that fit along here. And I did all that and I still put it on wrong. Okay. Now we're going to just start building layers on this. So we are going to take this one here and we're going to have chunks. This is where the paper is going to go, or your where you're going to put your pictures. So that I'm going to put on this side. If you don't like it coming to the over this, then just cut that part off. This we will be cutting off. Maybe I should have made that a little bit smaller. Well, it's however you like it. It doesn't really matter. All right, so then we're going to just kind of lay these out and see what fits where and what you like. And then this one, yeah, I am going to cut this down, so I will do that in just a minute. And then you have these stripes that you can play around with in other places. And these two. So I am going to use these here to put in a little bit up from the end of that one. And the same thing over here. I will put them down once I decide that, yep, that's where I like them. And I'll show you another technique too that might make this part a little easier, because I am going to cut it down so it fits these. And then you also have these two stripes, so you've got some matching going on there. All right, if you like how those all line up and look together, you might want to swap these around. It doesn't really matter. Then these are going to go here. So those will be your picture frames. All right, so let's move this. I'm going to get my mat back. I am going to go ahead and put these down on here now that I know how I want them. So let's do this one first. And I want to make sure they're lined up with that. And since it is a designer paper, you want to make sure that my balloons are heading in the right direction. Now, if you like this instead, you could even do half and half. I tend to like a little bit more muted where I'm going to put photos. So where those go, I like it to be a little less busy. Again, if you like that instead, which I think I might, yeah, I'm going to change it. So I'll put this one here. And then I think I like that dark right there. So kind of play around with what you like. Gonna put that one there. And now I have the curvature that I want. And then this one's going to go there, but I'm going to hold off on that yet. So now that I know what I want this to be, I am going to redo it to where I am cutting this so it stays circular with that. So I want to make sure I'm at the end here. So I'll be cutting a little bit more off of both sides. And this is why things are trial and error. You really can't do it wrong. I messed that up a little bit, so this is my way to fix it. And now I'll go straight across that as well. Yep, I did not push hard enough. That's what I thought. All right, so I need to go on the side of that. I need to be at the end of that and go over there. All right, let's do this one more time. That's doing that because I've already cut it. So we're just going to go the other way. And then that's going to need to go straight. All right, I don't know why it's not liking cutting that for some reason. Probably because it's 3 layers of paper here. So I'm even going to go a little bit smaller. So I get rid of this right here, or that's where you just put an embellishment or something. You really can't mess these up, and that's what I like about scrapbooking. It really doesn't matter. So I'm going to leave that, and I will put an embellishment there. So I'll show you how to do that. Again, just showing you, we all mess up, and it's really not messed up. All right, let's do it. So now this, I'm going to go ahead and stick down the bottom paper. Let's do this one first so we can line this up. And we're going to get that in the middle. All right, now we're going to move these and go ahead and put this, oh, that is down. All right. So line those up so you make sure you line up your all right, now if you want to, you can do that side. That's a little bit too much together for me. Again, I like simple pages. And now you're going to put your long piece down. I'm very symmetrical too, so you could put the dark side up on one side and the light side up on the other. All right, now again, if this bothers you, you can go ahead and trim that as well so it's lined up with that. All right, now I am going to put my, you could do candles. I like the darker side because this is going to be a mat for your photo. I've been really liking 3x3 and 4x4 photos. So I'm going to do 3 here. So this one's going to go in the middle. Then I can build out from there. So that one will go in the middle. And I want it to go this way so it matches. And then you can put the other 2 in. And it's kind of nice when you have plaid because you can use the lines down there to make sure that you're straight. So, and then I'm making sure my distance is the same apart there. All right, now on this page, because I've cut that, now I have this paper. See, now if I paid attention, I could have cut that the other way if I wanted to use the cupcakes. So this is going to go here, and this is going to be your journal box. So now you could take white lined paper and do something there, or just use a dark pen and write on it. It would be fine. And now this is where you could use these, and you could cut your little strips here. So I'm going to use these extra strips and decorate just a little bit at the top and at the bottom of that. A little bit more off of that one. And then stick those down. Just so your journal box is decorated a little bit. Doesn't need to be much, but okay, and now this is one of the thinner strips. I think I'm going to do the same thing. So I'm going to cut a strip. See See how that matches up? Good. Now you can just do the same thing here. That way you know they're the same size. And it gives you a little bit more color. That's, oops, wrong side. This is why I use repositionable tape runner, because that comes right off. I put it that way and then turn it right back over. So that's still bringing in that orangey color, but it mutes it down just enough. All right, let's trim that one a little bit. And there you have a simple double page spread. And now, like I said, that'll be journaling. You can bring in some of your embellishments. I use some of these. This is the cake punch. So you could even take your cake punch and put it at the bottom if you don't have embellishments. I still have some of the confetti. I've used some of these already, so I don't have a full amount here. Here's one I cut out. That's a little bit more decorative, so you could even put that here if you didn't like that there. One more year around the sun. You could throw that up there. There is a big one that says birthday. So I could even take that and put that up there. Happy, and then there's another one that said birthday. I already used that one on another sheet, so I have options of using these. So if I wanted to use the stickers, I could do that. I still have some confetti, so I would put probably something bigger up here and maybe use some foam squares. Give yourself something big up in the corner. Here's a sun, if you wanted to put something like that up with some smaller ones around it. And again, I would just use some foam squares. Here's a cute little camera you could put in there. And then journal about your day. Here's a big birthday cake. So maybe you want to put the birthday cake down here. So now you just kind of play around with whatever you have. This is going to be another frame. So when I do add pictures of his birthday, this one will be a big one of him blowing out his candles. And now just play around with what you have. Use some stickers, use some embellishments, put something big there. You could type out on your Cricut, happy birthday. Your photos are going to go here, so I would put some little things. Once I get my photos, I would put some little things here and there. Use some foam squares to pop them up. You could even put the little birthday cakes up here or tuck them in down here. So now you're just playing around with whatever you have. I could use a big sticker. I usually wait to do this kind of thing until I have my photos on so I can see where they need to be. But you have some really fun options to put some little cupcakes around. The cupcakes would look really cute if I put them here, or I could put them at the corner once I put his photos on. So just play around with your embellishments and your stickers. So this is a little bit more complicated. You can see how many times I had to do that one. You could put something else there, or just cut it down again and make it a little bit smaller. Or, knowing me, I'll have too many photos. So if you had another photo, you could just put another photo there. So pretend that's a photo, and that would cover that up, but still give you the idea of it having a curved edge. Or put a little embellishment there. We can always cover our mistakes up. All right, everyone, I hope you enjoy it, and I will see you next week.